Hey, all right. Hi guys, how's it going? I'm Allie with the Ladies of Metal and the Pittsburgh scene, and I'm here with Chris from Anti-Flag.
Hello.
So, what's going on, man? How's it feel to be back in your home again?
Well, I mean, Warped Tour, in a sense, is something that we've established as our home. So even though we're on tour and we have coincidentally hit home in Pittsburgh, it's a tour we're very familiar with and never feel uncomfortable on. So other than like squeezing every minute out of staying in my own bed that I can, it's a pleasure to come to Warped Tour. We have so many friends here, and everyone who creates this thing to every band that plays on it. We've got a tremendous amount of relationships in there, so it's nice to be around good people. And this is our 9th time interacting with the tour, so yeah, it's not uncommon ground for us. So, but this show in particular in Burgettstown is always very good for our band. We actually did a secret one last year, where we did the pavilion and announced it the day before, and that was really cool. But it'd be nice to actually be on a show that people know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what's your favorite thing about being on Warped Tour? Do you guys feel like the grandpas now, or like? What are all these whippersnappers doing?
Yeah. There's a bit of get off my lawn, you son of a bitch, that happens. But we've seen it through every set of eyes. You know, the first time we did it, I was 17 years old, and we were on a stage in the parking lot that was a bus. That was literally a bus with a hinge, and it opened up, and you played on the bus. You know? And we played to very small amounts of people, and through there we were able to graduate to 2nd and 3rd stages, and then over the last few years, maybe over the last 4 years, we've been on the main stage. So having gone through it all and been in the company of bands like NoFX and Bad Religion and Pennywise, who are a bit older than us but are contemporaries sonically, kind of give us a good perspective of how to keep it all in check and make sure that you're not alienating yourself. And you know, for us, Warped Tour is an opportunity to have young people come in contact with these simple ideas of anti-flag. I mean, we're a band that is going to go up there in an hour or so and say, we stand against racism, we stand against sexism, we stand against homophobia, we stand against bigotry. And there's not a lot of music that's saying that right now. And I don't believe that music necessarily has to say it, but I certainly believe that our music has to say it. So it's very simple. We lay it out for everybody and draw a line in the sand, and some people were on one side of it and some people were on the other side of it. And our take on it is, we're cool with it, but we're going to yell it at you either way.
So would you say that you are a fan of controversy and like standing for a cause, even in spite of the conflict that it might cause?
Well, I think that if you believe in something, you shouldn't be afraid to wear it on your sleeve. I mean, no matter what side of that coin it's on. So for us, it's very simple. You know, like I said, it's not a huge indoctrination message that we have to lay out pie charts and shit like that. It's just, you know, if you're looking for a band that's gonna tell you, you know, say derogatory things to women, we're not that band, you know. And there are a lot of bands out here that are doing that, and it's not my position to call them out. Then I become the grandpa and I'm yelling at people to get off my lawn. But it's my, I believe it's my important purpose to present another option to people, and they can leave the show saying like, yo, I really identified with this band that was, you know, saying something that I thought was a little different than the others.
Do you ever find conflict within your own band as far as the messages that you guys feel are most important to carry out or to talk about?
We've been fortunate enough that very early on we kind of established a democratic approach to all the decisions that we make, and we're able to find champions within the band for each cause that we have. And you know, if Justin, the other guy who he sings about 50% of the songs, I sing about 50% of the songs, if he is on something that I'm not necessarily on board with, he's pretty good at convincing me, or vice versa, and you know, we are able to follow lock and step with each other. We found that we're much stronger when we support each other than we are if we're worrying about some small kind of detail. But like I said, it's we're lucky in the sense that we're 4 kids from Pittsburgh who grew up in very similar upbringings. None of us had it easy handed to us, and as you know, being from Pittsburgh, you're not from New York, you're not from LA. You're aware of the fact that you're from Pittsburgh, and having that kind of badge has maybe made it a tougher road to hoe to get to the main stage of Warped Tour, but at the same time, it's one that we don't take for granted because we have worked very hard for it.
That's so awesome. Were there any specific moments in your life growing up that really were pivotal for you that made you kind of feel like, man, I really need to carry out a message in my music. I need to make a difference or take a stand?
Yeah, I had a brother who was at odds with the law a lot whenever I was a kid, and I remember him having a cassette tape of NWA Fuck the Police. And I remember not understanding why the police were fucking with my brother, but just that I agreed with Fuck the Police because they were always fucking our shit up. So at that stage I was like, I'm not gonna listen to my MC Hammer tape anymore. This song that says fuck a lot in it is great.
Yay.
And that was kind of the switch. And then as I got older, I started listening to Green Day and Bad Religion. I found punk rock, and I found a band called the Dead Kennedys who they were kind of right in between, Green Day being a pop punk band and Bad Religion being almost an intellectual band that I was too young to understand what they were talking about. The Dead Kennedys kind of put it in a place where, a 14-year-old kid could understand some type of politics. And I remember reading in my history books in school and lining up with things that the Dead Kennedys were singing about and being like, this started to make sense for me, So I think it was a slow transition, but from there I just realized the music that really moved me and got me excited to go outside and live a life was music with an idea and an agenda and a message.
Awesome. So being from Pittsburgh, and there really aren't as tons of bands coming out of Pittsburgh and making it to the level that you guys have made. I feel like Anti-Flag, at least for me growing up, really was put on a pedestal. My first band that I played in 8th, 9th grade, we were covering the Ramones, the Misfits, all Dead Kennedys, and Anti-Flag was another band that we just felt was
That's awesome.
up there. So what kind of message do you want to give to bands that are young kids from around here that idolize you guys and really want to be able to travel in your footsteps?
I think that the common misconception is that it's about discovery. I don't think any of what we've ever done as a band has been about someone turning over a rock and finding poor little Anti-Flag pounding away on instruments. We've booked our own shows. We've put out our own records. We've learned and created the infrastructures to be able to be in control of our own destiny, and that led to us, once we finally had the attention of record labels and once we had the attention of booking agents, we were finally able to say, these are the ways that we want to do these things. We weren't coming to the table as beggars, we were coming to the table as choosers. And I think that on every scale you can bring it to that level. You can say okay, you're in a band and you want to make a demo. That's awesome. But my advice is write some songs, play as many shows as you can play, and then once you've realized the shape and the color of your band, go and make a demo. It's not the other way around. It's definitely playing live and getting in front of people is how you're going to shape your band sonically, aesthetically, and ideologically. And through that, you can then go and make a piece of music that represents what you are. I don't know how many times I have people give me a demo and they say, this demo really sucks, we don't sound like this anymore, but we made it 6 months ago and we used all our money to make it. And it's just well, you wasted your money. I want to see what represents you.
That makes sense.
And from there, you're able to, like I said, if you're playing your own shows and say the local promoter won't put you on the shows, you don't crawl into a hole and say, oh no, the local promoter won't put us on the shows. You find out if you have an uncle who works at a VFW. You find out if you have someone who works for the fire department and you can rent out a fire hall and you put on your own show.
Fair enough. That's awesome. We're
in a cycle of music right now where, this idea of punk rock and this idea of DIY is maybe at the bottom. Maybe in 2005, You saw Green Day being as big as ever. You saw a lot of the bands that are on this tour. You know, this is almost like a resurgence year for that
definitely.
style of music. You saw a lot of those bands just say, we can do whatever, you know, everything's handed to us right now. But now we're kind of at the bottom of that cycle where if you want to forge your own pathway, the way to do it is just put it back in your own hands and go make it.
That's awesome. That's exactly the same message the Pittsburgh scene, I feel, has been trying to, you know, say as well. I feel like a lot of, you know, friends and colleagues kind of from this area are like, well, you know, we would be this massive band except we're from Pittsburgh. You know, Pittsburgh has no scene. So we, you know, our goal is to say, well, let's make a scene. You know, so let's make that happen. If it's all about the music, ultimately, I feel like that's kind of what you just said, and I'm just reiterating. You know, it's not about like how cool your demo looks. It's about how many shows you played and how well you developed your sound.
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, like if you take the pretension out of music, you can actually create a real community, and you can create it around your band, and you could. You know, what starts with you playing a show at a fire hall that you know someone who, you know, is a volunteer fireman, and you're able to rent the hall for $200 and you put on the show for your high school friends. At the end of the day, like, you're curating an event, and you want everyone to leave with a smile on their face and have a really good time. And yeah, maybe the music is secondary whenever you're doing it for high school, but people are going to be like, hey, when are you doing that thing again? And they're going to come back and see your band, and you're going to develop a real relationship with people. And, you know, that's worth more than, you know, playing a 30-minute set at the Warped Tour and maybe 1,000 people walk by your stage. But if you actually create something where there's 50 people that are actually invested in what you're doing and feel great about it and feel like, hey, man, I was there. That was a great event. Like, that's the exact way that we've been able to build our band from scratch. It's just meeting people and maintaining these relationships. And, you know, like, it's crazy. Like, I have friends and family who are coming to this show who saw some of the first shows we've ever played, and it's like, you know,
that's gotta be a good feeling.
Yeah, it's cool
sure.
to see that people are willing to stick around and you know, have as much invested in it as we do.
Definitely. So when I go watch your set later today, I'm gonna come up with a secret dance move that I want you to just, you know, you'll look out and you'll see this like wacky waving arm woman. And anybody else from Pittsburgh, whenever they see these guys live, they're gonna have to do the same move. So we gotta come up with this move right now. It's gonna be like the official anti-flag YMCA move, but not YMCA.
Okay, that's
so
tough.
Let's think of something like.
I'm being put on the spot, but
crazy.
My go-to is always robot dead arm.
Yeah, well, are you gonna be able to see that if I'm like?
Yeah, get up on someone's shoulders and dead arm me.
So this is like the anti-flag dance move. I'm gonna find the tallest motherfucker in the crowd. You will see me.
Okay.
I might be a little pie-eyed at that point, but I'm gonna just.
Okay, I like
anti-flag motherfuckers. So that's
great. Fantastic.
Thank you so much for your time.
This was great. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Definitely. Thank you.
Peace.